taller.
Welcome to Business Lunatics, guys, the weekly show where four fearless loonies pull back the curtain on the wild, the wonderful, and sometimes a downright ridiculous world of entrepreneurship. No fluff, no BS, just business madness. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about companies and indecision. How does this impact your business? How does it impact your revenues? Steve, take it away.
Oh man, I've been wondering.
Where do you want to start?
What was that? What was
He's
that?
like, where do you want to
You're
start?
up.
Pick a
You're
starting
up,
point.
There's
boy.
so much. Let me start with, ironically, I noticed this trend happening really in like the beginning of June. And because I do what I always do and I have for my whole career in technology, is I start asking other people, hey, how's so and so, how's it going for you? Or what do you think's going on? Or how's sales? Or, are you finding people are moving on projects or they're not moving on projects? And it was like a light, not, more stagnative type of a context back then. And as the months went into the summer, and I know it's summertime, we all take time off, but we still got to run a business. And you know what? People say, oh, it's summertime, it's slow. I say, no, you're not out there hitting it hard enough. And that's my personal feeling. And when the chips get down, you got to hit it harder, or continue to do at least what you're doing on a consistent basis. Don't like jump up and down. But I noticed as we got into August, I mean, I literally have $30 billion company that's sitting on it. And they really need it and they know they need it and they want it. And they've said, yes, let's go, but not yet. And then I've got 300-person law firm that has flat out said, oh my God, man, where you been all my life? And we really need to use you. And I just got to get it past the senior partner. And the senior partner says, no, I'm not spending any money. And I say, okay, great. I'll tell you what, I'll come in for 2 hours free and I'll help show the ROI that you can get out of utilizing AI properly with growing and scaling your business by helping your marketing person utilize it for more than just writing a sales letter or,
Right.
analyzing a document. Okay, use it as a
Right.
thought partner, use it for reverse prompting, whatever. And then we could show this managing partner the ROI you got for free. Guess what I
Yep.
got? Wait, don't say anything. That's it. Crickets.
Great
So
thing.
it's like
I got
I'm just
this.
trying to understand what the heck is going on in this. I mean, you hit a nerve, man. Like
Yeah.
I had something similar. I met a refrigeration company that was for commercial stuff. I met them. They're a service business, brand new business, been around for about 6 months. And I think I might have mentioned it, but they got the business cards, and there's no name on the business card, so there's just the email. That's it. So I sent them I met with them. They bought me breakfast, talked about, hey, here's what I'm gonna do. I need to, I created this super fans framework. I'm willing to work for free so that we document how this is going to transform your business. I gave them a bunch of ideas at breakfast to show credibility. And they says, well, what do you want out of it? I says, I want you to be a testimonial case study. So we write it up. And it says, well, you got to want some money. I says, all right, I'll tell you what, I'll take 10% of the growth that we do. That's it. But there's no money up front, no exchange, no nothing.
wow.
There's no downside, zero downside for them. So same thing like you, Steve.
No risk.
There's no risk, 100% guaranteed to make at least something out of it. Crickets. I followed up with them, and I know they read the email because I can track it, and nothing. I'm going to follow up one more time, and I'm just going to say, hey, at least give me a thing. But again, no decision is a decision.
Oh, Rochelle's got something to say on this one.
Oh, baby. This is like, I can't even begin to tell you. This is more mindset than anything else. If you were to ask most people they can't stand change. I mean, when you think of anything that
Ding
needs to
ding.
change, they like, it's almost like an allergic reaction. So, Steve, when it comes to change, you're looking at changing everything. You're looking at changing the way people operate in the company. You're looking at changing processes in the company. When you walk in, you're like dipped in day glow change. Okay, they just see
Yeah.
you a mile away, and you're like radiating
Okay.
change, and they're looking at you like, get away from me because I don't want to change.
Especially the old timers that have been there 20, 30
old
years. They
timers
don't
the
want to hear
worst.
from change. What are you, nuts?
They hear the word change, it's like you push them out, you're offensive, they'll get security to come escort you out. So that's number one. You're dealing, number one, with change, and most people are not good with change. So that's number one. Number two, when you're dealing with risk. Okay, so if change isn't great, risk is even worse. So even if the most simplest risk, people are very uncomfortable because they don't believe that they have the confidence to survive the situation if it goes bad. So this is what I find all the time. When
But
you
what's it? I mean,
let me
I'll
tell
bring.
you
I'll go
my
ahead.
answer to this. Most people look at when they're thinking of changing, they always ask themselves, like, what's the worst that can happen? And I like get nuts from that. Never, ever, ever ask yourself what's the worst that can happen, because you've got the most creative imagination and you start really creating
Oh
some of
yeah,
the pictures
that's
that you
just
scare
a
yourself
no-win
before,
situation.
before you even get started.
Right.
So here's the key. The minute I hear that, I say cancel, cancel, cancel. And immediately we have to ask ourselves, what's the best that can happen?
Yeah.
So when you
What's
ask,
the ROI I'm going to get out of this?
what's the best that can happen? Go figure. Your imagination starts creating the best, and it starts reducing the fear factor that was triggered earlier. So we've all now, as you say, people will not only, they look at the cost of something, they're not looking at the return. They're looking at, I have to spend whatever I have to spend, money, effort, time, whatever that is, but they're not looking at, well, what's the result of this? What's the compounder? What's the ripple effect of this? So not only am I going to get more revenue, I'm going to, and then that can really go, but they don't think that way because we're not asking them what's the best that can happen. So that's what
I
I
mean,
think we need to
uh,
literally focus on more and more.
let me. I'm gonna mention the elephant in the room because it's come up in so many meetings that I've been in, and the elephant in the room effectively is that the political climate is causing part of this, right? So we're dealing with global issues that are
Yep.
impacting people's um, sense of comfort because now they're very uncomfortable. They don't want their thought is this kind of builds on what Rochelle says. Their thought is that if I that anything I do right now, I may not get the ROI and it's going to cost me right now. And I'm saying it's the exact opposite. And I'm going to mention two things. Number one is I think this is the time to invest and get ahead of your competition because your
Yep.
competition is likely going to think just like you did. And so if they're going to pull back, you need to push forward. And the
Yep.
other thing I'm going to say is that when you invest, if the political climate is X, if the market climate is X, and you decide to pull back and hold on for, I don't know, for how long do you plan on
Now
holding?
you're,
That
you're
doesn't make
just
any
betting on
sense.
what they do. That's all you're doing.
Right. And
Whoops, we lost them.
of your
Uh-oh.
staff is going down. And I think that's the secondary impact on this is that it's not just about holding back, you're impacting how your staff feels.
Yep.
I think the idea is to push forward. I think the idea is to find a budget and continue to invest. And don't worry about what's going on in the climate place. I mean, short of it being the financial crisis that we ran into back in 2009 and 10, push forward, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, look at
what do you got to
Walmart.
lose?
Let's
Walmart
not fix the bad.
during the Depression, who pushed forward? Walmart, and they basically grew exponentially because they hit the gas pedal down.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yep.
but when things are down, that's when you buy in and full force forward. I have not slowed down a bit. I have taken my summer vacation in like 4-day chunks. I don't work on Mondays. I don't work on Fridays if I can avoid it. And I got a 4 days period that I get to take little breaks and I go golfing or I go wherever. And just sometimes I'll go on a retreat and I'll just get my head right on what I'm trying to do. But I think people have the mindset of like scarcity and oh my God, the world's coming to an end. I better sit back here instead of a mindset of abundance. And
Well, this is where Rochelle,
the further you
this is
get
what
out
I
ahead
love.
of your competition, the harder it's going to be for them to catch you.
This is I think Rochelle's comment is great. What's the best that can happen?
Oh, I love
Right?
it.
I love
I
it.
love it.
I love.
I always
Yeah,
ask
because I
them
think
that.
like with
Now,
that
I don't want to hear this gloom and doom. Cut the gloom and doom. Not interested. Absolutely not interested.
Good.
What's the
Yeah.
best that can happen? And the other thing, what I do calm certain people down. I think people are more afraid to do longer term investments because they want to be able they're just
Yeah,
too
I've
big.
switched to put 2 small projects, like,
So I
4
said,
week,
let's do
6 week
this.
projects, just trying to get people to move the needle a little bit and
Let's
see what I can actually, what I and my company can do for them. And then
let's
I
do
take
something on a
those
shorter
in more
term.
invested.
Let's do 3 months and see, and then we can reevaluate after 3 months what our next step is. Instead of saying like, what's a 1 year plan? I said, let's do
Sure.
90 days. Let's see what
Yeah,
we
there's only
can
some
do.
entities, like I'm dealing with the township, and they have their fiscal year budgeting, they have to get done by the end of September for October's budget for next year. So there's a lot of companies that have some budget restraints when you get into the lower mid and the mid-market size companies. And the smaller companies, yeah, you absolutely just go, hey, let's do a 3 week project, 4 week project. They can pull the trigger, or a 6 month or an 8 month, a year, whatever. And they'll just pull the
Yeah,
trigger.
but like for example, I was talking to somebody earlier today, and he's working with a company out of Philadelphia. It's a manufacturing company, and they're planning on adding an additional facility. And they put through, and this guy works with economic development groups at the state level, and he understands the incentives and so on and so forth. So when you have a large corporation creating a new plant someplace, well, there's lots of incentives at every state in terms of what they're getting. And there were 3 major metropolitan areas that were selected in the Midwest. And would you believe that under these circumstances, that large corporation backed off? They backed off for a year.
Why?
Why? Exactly.
Right.
Why? What do they think is going to change a year
The
later from
politics. They're not going to get the incentives. They're not going to get
Yeah.
the money to do it. That's why.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go back to what Rochelle said, and I'm going to go back to that refrigeration company, because I did offer them a 90-day plan, and then basically we could set up whether, review, see if it makes sense. I think they got stuck on the 10% of the growth is where they sit there and says, wait a minute, they're focusing on, oh my God, we're going to give this guy 10% of, whatever it comes out to. And so they're not looking at what's the best possible outcome. They're looking at it as, I got to pay this guy 10% at the end of the thing.
Oh,
And
well,
so they,
hold on. What's your response to that? I have a biggie on that one. I wish they would come to me with that. What's the response on that?
the response would be that, the 10% of, let's say, $200,000 is small money, because now you made $180,000 profit.
I wouldn't even say that. I say 100% of zero is zero. Are we into those numbers?
Right. Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know about that, but to me, zero is not a sexy number. 10% of something else is sexy. So
Yeah,
which
exactly.
100% of zero. I had an account that was another good one who he had like his accounts receivables looked like the national debt of a third world country. And I'm like, are you insane? What is going on here? I said, you need a collection agency. And they said they're not willing to spend 30% on the collection agency. And I said, are you like, hello? Did you hurt yourself? Did your brain go out the window? 100% of zero is zero. And then I
Yeah.
told them another thing, which they'll never forget. They look at me and they like sing it. I said, let me tell you another thing. An account is an account only if it pays. If not, it's called a hallucination. So you have a hallucination going on here. And you're panicked about spending 30%. I said, I would beg them to come. Beg them, because right now you're spending money anyway on staff that's making the calls and the manpower to go after this money, which you're not getting.
Right.
And you're not getting the result that you're asking
You're
for,
not
right?
getting
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
That's zero.
Right, exactly.
I
Yeah.
said
And where the
100%
collection agency has
zero
a
is
whole different
zero.
approach. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
But you know what? I can't
Steve,
spend 30%. I'm losing 30%. I said,
that's
can you
crazy.
please show me how you're losing 30%?
Yeah, exactly. Steve, I wanted to clarify something on our comment here just before. My example on this manufacturing company that decided to hold off for a year.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: in 2025, those incentives exist. A year from now, those incentives may not exist. So why are you waiting? It doesn't make any
Exactly.
sense to me.
There's could be a bazillion reasons why. Only the executives of that organization probably know, or maybe the board knows, and they don't have any idea. I sure as heck am not going to make a guess, but there is a lot of uncertainty. I mean, we have our own in DC, we have, martial law in our own country.
Right.
Nevertheless, what's going on with the wars in Israel and Gaza, and I can go on forever, and in the earthquakes in Pakistan, and everybody watches the news. We all know what's going on. Maybe they're
Yeah.
just figuring, maybe it's best to hold up right now. Let's see what shakes out. Knowing they
Yeah, and
may
that
not
and that
get
only
those
goes up to a certain
incentives.
point.
Maybe the
Yeah.
incentives don't outweigh the pain of the other problems that could be happening at the time. Again, I'm not
That
going
only
to
goes so
guess
far.
for them.
I
I
know.
don't even
I'm
know
just,
who they are.
but I think we're talking in concepts over here that, I don't see any reason why businesses need to hold back. I
I
will
agree with you. They
never,
don't. They may not, but
I,
I agree with you.
right. I will never allow the political climate or government to impact how I run my business. I know I need to press forward. And I think the example I gave earlier is everybody should keep in mind. If you're thinking that you're going to hold back, guess what? So are your competitors, which is
Right.
why I'm suggesting push forward.
Go
Don't
get them,
Yep.
man. They're
go get
there.
them.
They're there for the picking. And for every no I get, I am one step closer to a yes. And I've known that over the
Mhm.
years. It's proven to be true over the years. And I used to think when I first started like 40 years ago, I'd be all depressed, like, oh, they don't like me. They don't like my service. It's got to do with that. They have a bunch of other extenuating circumstances as to why they didn't buy. Or maybe you're not a good fit. Maybe you should just grow up and move on and keep on pushing. And that's really served me
Yep, I agree.
pretty well.
Well, look at all the
That's the way
companies.
to move this.
Look at all the companies that have gone away because they didn't pivot when the market was changing.
We can
I
talk
mean,
about Netflix if you want.
well, I'm just was going to bring that up, that now that you brought it up, but basically, you look at Blockbuster had a chance to buy Netflix, and they made a
Right.
decision. They made a decision
Yeah.
not to do so,
Yeah.
and the rest is history. And we can go on and on numerous companies that were indecisive on their decision making, and basically they chose not to make a decision, which is a decision, and today they're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone. I
Here's the
agree.
thing.
I agree.
The things that are going on right now are not just decisions on business, especially, Steve, you're a real dilemma, I would say. Because when you come in, see, I don't represent it, you do. You're a disruptor. So if
Yeah.
people don't like change, they really don't like disruption to do something differently. So you're up against you're not only up against the financial situation, you're up against an emotional situation. People are
And
making
this is why the executive team has to be driving the push, or it's not going to work.
you are totally up against not only an irrational decision, but you're up against an entire emotional framework. Like, I don't want to change. This is going to be disrupting. And once you see, I go in and I support things to move along. I'm not as much, I mean, yes, there are things that I go in that I change, but I'm not viewed as a disruptor. So
In my
therefore,
business coaching practice, I'm more of a supporter, but there are times when I'll say, and I ask them flat out, if we work together and the CEO of your organization, the person driving and leading the vision of your organization is not fit or is not belong there, are you willing to let them go from your company or to move them into a different position? And if they're not willing to say yes, I won't take them on as a client. Because I then tells me they're not looking out for what's best for the organization. They're looking out at what's best for themselves.
Sure.
And that kind of person cannot grow and scale their organization properly.
could be, but there's a thousand reasons for that. That may not be it either. They're looking out for the comfort zone of the organization, and they just can't. Not everybody's a leader.
No,
We need
not
somebody,
everybody is a leader. And
and
most
and
people
they're
who
in
start a
position.
business don't have any idea how to run a company, but they're really good at making that widget or
Right.
building that software or fixing that sink or whatever it is. Then they find out, wait, I got to hire, fire. I got to go through HR. I got all these different hats I got to wear. And until they get big enough to delegate it all, it's work. It's hard. It's really hard for them.
A lot of company, and then I forgot what it's called. Which principle is that people get promoted until their level of incompetence.
Maslow theory. It's Maslow's
I haven't
theory.
heard that in years. That's good.
And I'm
Yeah.
working with
Yeah, I
that
remember.
company right now. I mean, I've got a company that has 2 key people in their organization that was promoted now to their level of incompetence, and they're incompetent in the role that they're in.
Yep.
So that has a lot to do with it also. But when we're dealing with decision making, you know, there is so many external factors that bring into the equation that we're not aware of. You know, finance is part of it. Part of it, I mean, I worked with a lot of family businesses. Then you're dealing with family dynamics. How can how can I hire my cousin and not my son? One's competent, one's not. I mean, like, let's get
We won't say which one's which. It doesn't matter.
Right.
so now we get into family dynamics. So you look at, I mean, so who thought of running a business that your main thing that you have to really look out for is Thanksgiving dinner? Is there going to
Yeah, I
be
have
enough
one now.
people,
I'm dealing with all that.
that can have, are they going to sit down and have turkey together or not? So you didn't think that that played into decision making. So there's so many things that are important around. And my thought on that is we need support. You can't do this on your own, because this is what I think. When emotions are high, intelligence is low.
Yep.
Yep,
Sure.
So
I agree
you have to
100%.
talk to somebody
100%.
about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna emphasize. I want to emphasize that because a couple of years ago, I implemented a voice over IP system into this company I was working at, and there was several people that were very much against the voice over IP system because we've worked with phones for years. And they were so upset about it that they were complaining that the headsets that they were putting on were hurting them or weren't staying on and they were walking around the office telling everybody how this was annoying and everything else. And they were causing so much problem. And at the end of the day, it was just like Rochelle's talking about, they had no buy-in, didn't want to change, and so they were going out of their way to amplify the fact that this change was not going to happen easily, and they were fighting it.
Yeah.
Eventually, all of a sudden, miraculously, the headsets worked.
It's a
No
miracle.
change in the headset.
It's a miracle. It's funny, but I have been doing a lot more of this, especially starting since the middle of the summer, is start with pilot projects. If you're going to do any AI implementations or even any kind of thing you're going to implement, start with something small, something that's internal that you don't have to worry about it's going to affect your customers or, make you look good or bad or indifferent. But, start with an internal process, like, creating SOPs, standard operating procedures, or evaluating agreements to see, how fair is it for you versus for them, things like that. Just little tiny wins, and then that will win over a lot of the people I find a lot of times.
And
But
Steve, you bring up an interesting memory. I was at a CEO retreat like over a weekend where it's just a lot of intense
a lot of
business
brain power
and
going on.
brain power going on, right? But one of the brain powers that we had going on was also I don't want to call it a hike, but we had certain things we had to do around the facility. But it was a long hike. And one of the other CEOs that was with me, he kept on lagging behind. And so I started to, pace with him because I was concerned about, why was he lagging behind and what's the problem? And as we were talking, I realized his problem is he kept on thinking about the end, which was, and I'm just throwing out a number here, which was maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles out. So what I did was, and to this day, I still get thank yous from him for this. He turns around, and what I did was during our walks, I said, "Listen, you see that tree over there? We're gonna reach that tree first." And so we would make that small
Little
step.
bites,
That's the
little
very
bites, little
little
bites,
bites,
little
right?
bites.
Little bites, and all of a sudden, those 2 miles are finally done, especially after a long day of, uh, you know, um,
Hiking.
of a lot of brain power going on too. Now you have the physical side of it. So everybody's drained at this point, but taking those small steps, I think makes sense. And like I said, here we are, and I can't remember when this was 10 plus years ago. And every so often I'll get a message from him reminding me how I got him past, past
How
those
do you
last
how
two
do you eat an
miles.
elephant? You eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Sure.
exactly.
With all this, like Steve, especially, I think with all of us, the first thing that we need to do is break the inertia. And that's the most important thing. You know, we don't look for a long, you know, a long contract is irrelevant. I just believe for myself, we've got to break the inertia. And when I focus on just that, break
Yeah.
the inertia, then once that's done, they're much more open to something else. If I start thinking long term, they just glaze over and they say, Rochelle, you're talking a foreign language. When I say let's do the break the inertia, just let's break the inertia. And when I do something like that, they're like, we're on board. So that
So
that helps with decision making. You know, what do we need to do so that you can ease your way into a final decision? What's a small step that can give us a definite yes or a definite no? And the one thing I do tell people, there's no such thing as maybe. It's
yeah,
either a
maybe
Yeah,
is no.
right.
Right.
Maybe is
No,
no.
that's it. That's the indecision that we started off this conversation with today.
Yeah. And that might as well be
Maybe
no as
does
far as
not
I'm
work.
concerned. I'm moving on.
I
Next.
agree. I
There's
agree.
no
No
such
doubt about it.
a maybe is the biggest energy drain, and the biggest it's like you're putting a deposit in your worry account. Let me like hype up my worry. If I only worry 2 hours, let me worry 4. So
Let
let me
me
put some more
let me
maybe
ask you
in
a
my life.
question for you guys. I need your collective brain power here. What are your thoughts on giving an option package of an A, short term, B, a little bit longer to short but not long, and C, a long term engagement? In other words, giving them three choices, three things to pick from. What are your thoughts? What's
I
your brain?
think three's too many because
Oh,
you
two.
got three choices. You're not going to make one. You're going to be fumbling around. I think two is the right number. It's either A
Okay.
or B.
Right. 50-50. Yep.
Yep.
Years
50-50.
ago, they used to
And I
say
want
they gave
to,
3, and everybody picked the middle one because the
That's
first
right. When you
one
have
was
three,
just
people almost
shaking.
always pick the middle one.
What's going on
yeah,
here?
but you want to keep it
Psychological.
to, right, but you want to keep it to two decisions. It's
I want to
50-50.
give them what they need, is all I want to
The
give
other
them.
thing I wanted to add
Unserved
though is
3
to
months.
Rochelle's point about the maybe. I went to a T. Harvey Eker millionaire mindset. And one of the things exercises was, and this is a mechanical pencil, was pick up the pencil. You either do or you don't. There is no in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, T. Harv Eker was really big on the word try. Oh my
Right.
God, that
There's
was
no
a
such thing as
big
try.
tip.
Yeah,
He
try to
was.
pick up the pencil.
He was
That's the
the
word.
best.
Right.
Thank you. Try to pick up the pencil. It's either you do or you don't.
Right.
Right.
Maybe is a drain on energy, it's a drain on resources, and it doesn't give you any, you know, and sometimes a no is equally as powerful as a yes.
Oh,
Because
if
it
not
has
more
to
so,
do,
so they can free you up so you can go after the people that want to do business with you.
Right.
And they're out there.
Yep.
To go talk to them and stop talking to this guy over here that doesn't want to know you.
Well,
absolutely.
yeah, don't waste your time if
Right.
if you're hitting your head against the wall, right? Just
Oh, and you know it's funny because I'll send emails, and this is a true story. I'm just following up, 3 days a week, sometimes 7 days, 2 weeks, whatever. But I'm not like an everyday hawker kind of guy, and I don't want to be that guy. But at some point, and I just get quick because I finally write an email back in the subject line that says "close the file," and
Yeah,
I'll write in
that's
the
a
subject.
stanza. That's a
I'll write.
stanza. That's a
Well, I know that, but what
stanza.
I'll do is I'll write in there. Please do us both a favor. If you're interested, great. Let me know. If you're not interested, that's super. Please let me know. But either way, I'd like to know if I can close the file because I don't want to waste your time any more than I'd like for you to waste mine. And I can't tell you how many times people will go, you know what? No, don't close it. I'm really sorry. It's me. It's not you. I do want to talk to you, and I've gotten business to close out of it. Typically, it gets the naysayers to go, yeah, close it. Great. Thank you for cleaning up my database for me. But I think you got to give them the permission to
Yeah,
say,
I've
oh,
used that similar stuff of just saying, hey, I'm just reaching back out, haven't heard, and if it doesn't sound like a good fit, that's okay. Just let me
yeah,
know. And thank you for your time and all that stuff. And I get the same thing. I've gotten back. Wait a minute, no, sorry, my bad. I've been busy, and let's talk next week. And yeah, you wrap up the deal. And then there's times where they say, no, now's not the time. And I usually send them back. Thanks a lot, appreciate it.
yeah.
All the best.
Or people
and
ask me
and
for my marketing campaign. I'll be absolutely, thank you very much. I'm happy to do that. I'll archive you so we don't hit you again. And by the way, if you'd like to get our newsletter, here's a link to my LinkedIn newsletter. You're welcome to go there. It's free. It's never selling. You know, that's it. Bye.
I mean, to Steve's point, you know, you have to get to a point where you just have to say, just let it go, right? Just drop it. You're and to Rochelle's point, you're wasting your time if you keep hitting your head against the wall. I mean, why do that, right? Just turn around and back off. There are more, and we have to keep in mind there are more fish out there.
And that's a
A lot
decision.
more.
But at the point, what you're saying, Melih, is you're making a decision, even though the individual on the other end is not making a decision. You
Right.
need to make a decision.
Exactly. I agree.
Melih, I've got a biggie on that one. I'm going to twist that
Go
a
ahead.
little bit.
Go ahead.
When somebody acts like that, a client tells you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So a client's not going to get on the phone and say, you know, Rochelle, lovely to meet you. I just want you to know that I'm going to make your life miserable. I'm going to cancel last minute. I'm going to listen to about 30% of what you have to say, and you're going to have to send the marshals over to get paid. They don't say it that way, but
No.
they hint. They hint. They don't get back to you. They hint. If you're saying that something costs whatever, they say, can you do it for half? And I'm like, excuse me. They hint. And you have to pay attention to the way somebody treats you, because I really believe that long term, that's who they are.
I
And the
agree with that
And
100%.
there's not work.
you.
Yeah, I agree with that
And no
100%.
reason to continue working with them. I agree.
Yep.
I mean, I
100%.
had an account that this person was very, you know, she was delayed, and I sent that letter. I said, you know, I'm closing the file, and she got back to me like, are you out of your mind? I was just I can't wait to talk to you. Let's get started. And she FedExed the check to me. FedExed the check to me. Could you imagine? And then working with her was very uncomfortable. She canceled last minute, never, very
Oh,
rarely
forget
did
it.
she do the work. It was really difficult. But again, she showed me who she was all the time. So we have to pay attention, because they're not going to say, excuse me, I'm a jerk.
Yeah.
Excuse
I
me.
fired a client 6 months in.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is not working.
Yep.
And it was
I agree.
like a lot of
But they're
thousands of
telling
dollars.
you
And I made them
early
pay
on.
out their term too. Too bad. That was our agreement. It's not my fault you're not doing the work.
But
I
what
show
I'm
up
Hey,
every
guys.
day and I do the work.
people
Yeah. Hey,
tell
guys.
who they are, and we have to, as adult and as great business owners, we have to read between the lines, and we have to create a standard of the way we want to address others and what we're going to accept for other. If we want to be professional, we can only accept professional standards. And if somebody starts going haywire and representing something different, then it's what Steve says. You know, I wish you well, but we're closing the file, and you're fired. This is it. It's not happening. You are not going to
Live by your core
else.
values. That's just what it comes down to. If you live by
Yeah.
your core
Exactly.
values,
And
don't waver.
yeah. And don't waver. I was just going to say that. And don't waver. Hey, guys, on that note, let's slowly wrap things up and do our final takeaways. Freddy, you want to start?
Biggest thing is no decision is a decision. And if the customer is not making the decision, you need to make the decision.
Yep.
Cool.
Amen.
Steve?
You know, I got two. Live in a world of abundance, not a world of scarcity. And
Mhm.
you know, when things get tough, the tough get going. And I've learned that as an entrepreneur for over 40, I don't know, 44 years. I forget how many, a long time. But yeah, those are my two points. They're very important.
Rochelle?
Never ask yourself what's the worst that can happen, because you'll scare yourself. You won't even get tired started. Always ask yourself what's the best that can happen, and good grief, that's what you start to create.
Yep.
And on that note, I'll end with indecision is very costly. Push forward. That's where we need to be. And on that note, guys, that is it for today's show of Business Lunatics. Hit follow, subscribe, and join the loonies every week for no fluff, no BS, and just pure business madness. Thank you very much.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.